So today I am sitting down and having a chat with Mark. Mark, you are a author, a Daniel Craig lookalike in Bond films,
And also Narnia,
and
which I haven't told you about yet.
well, we can go into that as well. You've led a very, very exciting life. I have recently just finished your biography. We're going to talk about all of these things and publishing as well. Mark, where would you like to start? Again, bear in mind, I've just read your biography.
Yeah, you've been on the speed process, haven't you?
I have been on the speed run.
Going through
it. There's lots of things that I didn't know about you. I've first met you probably about 7 years ago now, when you were promoting one of your books. I think it was Killing Time, wasn't it?
It was Killing Time.
Yeah.
Fairly new then.
And which we're going to talk about because I remember being told about the concept of the book, and I thought that's really cool. And I remember getting about halfway through reading it at the time. Then basically, I used to co-own a bookshop that doesn't exist anymore. And when we closed down, that was one of the books I kept myself. Because I remember buying it, and I was like, I'm going to finish it. And it got put in a big box of about 300 books that I had to store in my garage. And I've only funny enough, I came across it probably about 2 months ago, before you contacted me.
Okay.
And I was like, do you know what? I at the time I was like, I need to start this again because I don't like reading a book halfway through and then coming back to it 6 months later. I was like, I'm going to start again. And I am going to do that because it's such a cool idea. But we'll get on to that in a minute. Basically, would you say that you have led a very interesting life?
You know, it's difficult to say it from my point of view because I get bored very, very easily.
Sure.
And maybe that's because I've had interesting moments.
Yeah.
And some people say, well, that's very interesting that you grew up in care and that you went through this, but actually that's not so interesting. It's an interesting story to tell. But at the time, it's just your kind of...
You're just doing
so
it.
You know.
It. Yeah, of course.
I suppose my first introduction in the biography is saying about how I was born with a shot of hair that looked like the Beatles, and
Sure.
Yeah, they say, "Oh, Beatles good," and of course, I'd never felt I'd been that cool since. But yeah, I mean, the son of a Scientologist who thought he'd been Jesus.
Yeah.
Growing up in a sort of several different sort of homes and that sort of thing is different.
Sure.
You know, that's all you know. But I suppose when I felt my life was really getting going was when I'd done my first travels. That's when you see the world, and that's when you see what's different. I think it takes you out of your own little universe, and shows a perspective from a lot of other different people, and makes you want to be better, wants you to be bigger. A bit like I'm trying to think of the singer, Big Time. From Genesis.
Phil Collins?
No, the original one.
Oh, it's Peter Gabriel.
Peter Gabriel, that's it, yeah. And he's talking about a big world, wanting big time, big world.
Oh, yeah, sorry, but yeah.
Yeah, and it just takes you on with that brilliant video, if you remember it.
Yeah, the stop animation.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I guess that's it. And that drive, I say it's unfortunate because it means I get very little rest in my own mind, but that's where I got the title from in the end, from the biography, which is Keep Moving or Die.
I mean, I think it's a very, very simple phrase, but it's so deep. There's so much to that, you know. And reading the book, I understand why it's called that, but also from a reflective point of view of, you're right. You've got so much opportunity in front of you. You could do anything and go anywhere, and it is quite sad, isn't it, that many people don't take that opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, I'm talking about myself as well because, you know, I've traveled a bit, but not as much as I should have. And it's almost, funny enough, with the world as it is at the moment, with the sort of the division in this country at the moment politically and everything else, and you've got large group of people that kind of want almost to go back in time, that want to take the country back to like the 1950s or something, to stop immigration, all that sort of stuff, and you've got other people that oppose that. I just kind of think, if more people had more experience of the world and other cultures and other experiences, that Do you think that would? We're going off topic here, but would that change their perception on life?
To an extent, yeah, because you do. And I mean, I think I learned a lot when I was traveling in Israel with my father and my brother, and I was 15, 16, something like
Sure.
that. And we were in Jericho looking at, my father was really excited about it because he'd read about it as a boy. Really, it's just dust now, but it's one of the oldest cities there. And then these local people started chatting to us, and they invited us over for a drink, and then it was a meal, and then we ended up staying for 2 or 3 nights on this refugee camp, and you're sharing a fire, and
Wow.
they take us out to this. They took my brother and I out to this place in the middle of nowhere, to just a little bar. Bar, I say bar, it's a hut that sells
shack,
milk jelly and kind of soft drinks and maybe a beer. And that's when you become more aware of them as people and the different cultures, and admire the different cultures. And you love the different cultures. But I think most people maybe in this country, it's not the fear of a different colour, it's not the fear of, it's a little bit of a fear of loss of jobs, a little fear of the economy struggling because of the health services. But I think the biggest thing is people fear losing their own character, their own heritage, which is when you really look at it, you can see politicians or film actors of every different colour, second generation, they actually some of them are very more English than a lot of white
people. I know what you mean.
And so it is about that culture. And are we having our culture swamped, or are the people who do settle here? Yes, a lot of the first generation might stay in their own culture, as the British do when they go to a different country.
Sure.
But I think the generations become more, they absorb the English or the British culture.
You have to, like you said, if you went to another country and you become friends with other people with different customs, you kind of, if you want to stay there, I guess you kind of evolve a little bit into that. But also from your experiences, because as a child, you had, I don't want to keep sort of saying unconventional childhood.
Go ahead.
But you know,
I mean, I'm the grandson of God. What more can you say?
Right, exactly. I mean, do you want to talk briefly about your father finding Scientology and what that meant in life and how that affected you?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, like most cults, and Scientology is definitely a cult. They grab or they find people who need to find them.
Yeah.
And my father was going through a period, he was heartbroken. He was just come out of the Navy. His mother, who was everything to him, had died a few years earlier. And he was looking for something, and a friend introduced him to Scientology. And they welcomed him in and showed him a way. Showed him a different way from what is, again, a conventional.
Probably quite exciting in many ways.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and to the point where suddenly you think, oh my word! But and even though I was exposed to Scientology through his words, they are quite private about it, and so I don't know a lot of what they read, but a lot of it was that once you get to the top level, which at the time was OT7. Operational Thetan 7, it meant that you were so in control of your own spirit, your own power, that you could almost manipulate the universe. It was a feeling of ultimate strength and power.
Sure, I can understand how that could be sold to people.
Oh, absolutely. But it was many, many years later. Well, only a few years ago, and I'd seen on the internet about Scientology, which a lot has been released now. And they were talking about once they got to OT3, they learnt, and I believe his name is Zeno, Xeno, this galactic leader who decided that there were too many people in his universe. Almost a bit like Thanos, the story of Thanos. Exactly. So he took the worst of the people. He took these people on spaceships that looked like jumbo jets. It was written in the 60s.
Sure.
And he took them to volcanoes, and he threw the bodies into volcanoes, and he threw a whole load of atom bombs on the volcanoes.
Right.
Atomic was very much a thing of the 60s.
Sure.
And then captured the spirits in special nets, and then made them watch really bad films. I mean, of suffering and that sort of thing, to bring them down to a level where they couldn't operate as a thetan anymore, as a spirit, a personality, whatever you want to call that energy that is life.
Yeah.
So that they didn't even know they were body. They thought they were just bodies rather than the spirit within.
Sure.
And that was to release them. So that's kind of how I grew up. But the strongest element of that was about reincarnation.
Yeah.
And that's where I got the idea for my.
I was say it's a recurring theme.
Exactly. And so in opposition to it, because I rebelled against it about
of course
8 or 9, because just like the story of Santa, where you grow old enough to go, hang on, something just doesn't add up here.
Yeah.
That was it for me. And going into a children's home at 9, 10 separated me from that influence.
Sure.
But those stories in a childlike mind were great. So when I did start writing, it was in opposition to my father's beliefs in a way that if Scientology really worked, what would the world be like? What if people could access their past lives and they regained past skills, languages, sciences, whatever? How would the world grow from that point?
Yeah.
And so I set it in the near future, just after a period of a huge recession, which looks like it might happen that way.
Yeah, because it's 2060, isn't it? Am I
2060.
right?
About 2061. Yeah, you're right, absolutely.
So not that far.
Not that
away,
far
really.
away.
Yeah.
I didn't want it to be science fiction, and maybe I could have just written it as an alternative universe. But yeah, I kind of went for the direction of that. But I created this whole world of awakening, where people were pointing out someone who'd killed them 200 or 300 years earlier. Suicide bombers are being found and tried. A young girl, sweet little Jewish girl, is found that she had once been Adolf Hitler. And what do they do with that?
That'd be a bit of a mindfuck, wouldn't it?
She was a bit upset. And so what do? Do they just go, well, these things happen? Or at the time they decided to give her a lethal injection. But that, of course, society goes, this girl's got nothing to do with that. But they say, but she is. We are really this person, this spirit, is the body just a facade we're wearing at the time. So it became very, very philosophical, metaphysical, really. So the story of Adam Capello, in my first book, The Many Lives of Adam Capello, he starts his awakening journey at the age of 16. And he, at first, finds out he was this Victorian photographer, royal Victorian photographer, who was actually my great-great-grandfather.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was great to bring him alive again.
Yeah, yeah.
But then he gets a feeling of loss because this photographer had, his wife had died fairly young and left him with this pain. But he'd regained all his old skills like photography, a bit of French, that sort of thing. Then he becomes a slave, and all these lives. It's a bit like Quantum Leap meets The Alchemist. It's he's going through these different things, but it's really about. So it's a trip through the timeline of mankind, or the history of mankind, saying where we've come from, but it also ends up through a series of skulls that seem to be trying to get some message to him, these crystal skulls or spiritual skulls trying to get to him. And in the end, without saying anymore, it really kind of points a direction where mankind is going. I quite like full circle stories.
Yeah, there's something fulfilling and satisfying about it.
I mean, I meant it just to be like a little interesting book about a guy going back in time, really. But it just ended up being quite a philosophical story.
But I could see how, again, having that sort of childhood would kind of like, you put these ideas in your head and you don't necessarily believe them in terms of a daily doctrine of what's reality, but it's an idea of what's more like possibility, what could be.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So from a creative writing point of view, when you decided you wanted to be an author and release these books, then it's almost like inevitable that they're going to be kind of in that field, you know? They weren't just going to be like romantic or something.
Oh, well, your first book, I think, for most authors, has a lot of them in it.
Sure.
And it was. I suppose it was an easier book to write in a way because it's a lot of stories in one big story. But there's a lot of in there that was part of my beliefs, my powers. I mean, it sounds weird now, but I'd had the last 10 years I've been reading a lot. Before writing that story, I'd been reading a lot of science fiction, quantum mechanics, spiritualism, philosophy, and it's all a great way of just mixing it all together.
Absolutely. I mean, I always remember, like, quite a few years ago, I for a couple of years, I worked with this property developer guy, and I did some stuff for him. Well, just kind of like a glorified assistant. But he was a big Bob Dylan fan, and he always used to tell me about Bob Dylan, and he was sort of saying that he saw in an interview once that someone had asked Dylan, how do you come up with these lyrics, these amazing, thoughtful? Yeah. He's just like, I've just read so much poetry and so many books. It has to come out somewhere, you know?
And I suppose that's how it's weird, because sometimes you're struggling as you're looking at the computer and you think, I've got to do my 2,000 words for the day or whatever to just feel like I'm getting something done. And then other times it's just flowing out of you. And I mean, there were stories like in my second one, Killing Time, where I would write myself into a corner and then suddenly goes, oh, that's how they get out. Oh, it's like I've just read it.
Yeah.
But then you're doing
it's like a download. You just downloaded that chapter. Yeah.
So
it's I mean, again, you would kind of think from a layman's point of view that gives a tiny slice of credibility to the idea that we are just all living multiple different lives in different dimensions, and you're, for that moment, in the right spot, in the right star line, whatever, you're downloading that past life, future life, whatever. Like,
yeah, I mean, he came to it that I don't know if I explained that book to you before.
Well, explain it to me.
Capello.
You have, but for the benefit of this.
Oh yeah. I mean, whether you knew it, but without saying too much again, but because of it, it's also a way of playing with time. Was because I've been reading about dimensional space as well.
Sure.
And
as you do, like reading.
As you do. Well, it sounds like I'm a great reader. I'm not, but I just happen to be reading these things. And I think I'd had Hawkins' book and all that sort of thing. But it was the idea that actually, rather than time going through forward or backwards, you're actually doing it dimensionally through a different dimension. And if you use the infinite article, which is the same idea of an infinite amount of monkeys with an infinite amount of typewriters would one day come up with Shakespeare, would be that there could be other dimensions out there, but they're only 5 minutes ahead of you or behind you. It's almost like a little stuttered loop that's going around. So rather than having to go forward or backwards, you just go through another dimension. You can say, well, I need that one that's about an hour before or 5,000 years before, or that sort of thing.
I mean, that in itself is an amazing concept, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you're right. It's almost like maybe that's a kind of get out of jail free science fiction type card, because you always kind of think that another dimension somehow would just know everything and be so far advanced. But if they're only 5 minutes advanced, like, they don't know any more than you do.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, it's the point, in fact, that rather than it being a completely different universe, which there would be as well, it's not like the multiverse of Spider-Man where there's different versions of it. It's just the fact that it's the same script in a way. It's just a different point in that script.
Yeah,
but it could be everything else. If it is infinite, that it can be all things and anything, and it's not even 5 minutes ahead. There might be one that's a second ahead. I mean, we're getting ridiculous now, but if it's infinite,
sure, it's definitely an interesting concept. We'll get on to like the practical advice or your experience of publishing, because that's a fascinating world in and of itself, and it's so complex now with the internet and the publishing community, and just how how hard it is. Yeah, I mean, the concept of infinite possibilities and infinite realities is fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, it's the infinite article, which is the theory of, if you've got an infinite amount of monkeys on an infinite amount of typewriters, then you would possibly get a work of Shakespeare. It's not, I don't think no one actually believes it would be true, but it's that theory that would even then relate to maybe if there's all those different universes, then maybe there are universes that are just 5 minutes apart. They're identical to ours. They're 5 minutes apart, 1 second apart, 5 years apart, 5,000 years apart. But it's a way of going through time, not through forward or backwards, but sideways through different dimensions. And then that gave me the different way of looking into the different possibility of going and doing the things that I needed to do. Because Adam's going back and forward through his own lives, but it means anybody could then recapture those things. But then at one point where he's seeing his past lives, it made you think, are you actually already in your past life? And actually you could start seeing your future lives.
Yeah, that's
where Adam Capello, The Many Lives of Adam Capello, became more of a metaphysical book than just a sci-fi or an adventure book.
Sure.
So when I came to my second one, Killing Time, a friend of mine said, well, why don't you do what you know best, or what you've been doing, which is crime?
Yeah.
I'd never thought about writing crime, but I thought, what's the most...
Do you want to just quickly explain how you found yourself being knowledgeable about crime in your day job?
Oh, yeah. So, for 23 years, I worked for the Met Police as a crime scene photographer. And again, maybe my Scientology times helped me in things like doing a post-mortem, and people say, how did you deal with a dead body? And I just saw it as an empty vessel, really, at the time. And the worst thing for me was how time ravages the body, as you get older, for the older people. To see my first post-mortem was of an old lady. And I suppose part of the thing that keeps me exercising and diet was seeing how this woman had just the layers of the fat, the way the body muscle tissue goes away. It was kind of a stark reminder. Other postmortems, maybe people were drunk and what it done to the livers, all that sort of thing. So
it's. I mean, how did you even get into it? Did you just apply for that one day, or
no? I'd been working on cruise ships for 3 years.
Okay, right.
As a photographer. And it was great, and it was good money, and I was going all around the Caribbean.
Yeah, on holiday.
It was up to over 100 hours a week on quite a few ships, but it was hard.
Sure.
But it was also a different, I'd come from an institution of children's homes, and being on cruise ships was another institution. And I'd seen other people who'd been on so long that when they tried to go back to land, they ended up having to always keep going back because they couldn't make the money that way, or they couldn't get on with life in a normal kind of pattern.
Sure.
So I think back now, maybe a bit stupidly, but I was maybe 27. I thought, getting on a bit, maybe I'd get back. Maybe it's time to think about, I don't know, a relationship, families. I didn't really want kids, but just doing what normal people do.
Yeah, sure.
So I came back, and within a year, I was kind of itching to maybe get back to the ships already.
Wow.
But I thought I'd give it a full year, and I saw a job with the Met Police as a photographer. Hadn't even thought about it. Went for the interview, not really that enthused.
Yeah.
And I was talking to a girl there, and she said, well, they'd had 400 applicants for 4 places. So there were about 20 people being interviewed.
Wow.
So I suddenly thought, oh my, wow, this may be a bit special. And they gave me a tour, and they showed me all the different departments, the colour room, the audiovisual, the scene of crime, the surveillance work that they used to do, the aerial photography department. And suddenly I got a bit excited and a bit nervous.
Yeah.
and through that. But that's basically how I got into police photography. They took about 3 months. I was just about to get back on the ship, and suddenly I got a letter saying I'd got the job.
You're staying on land.
Yeah.
Did you regret it at the time? Did you like? Oh, maybe
I regret it now. I mean, it's worked very well now for me. I'm in a good position now, but you sacrifice your creative soul to get a steady job, and like a lot of people, maybe it's an old-fashioned way, but a lot of guys who get married and have kids, they feel like they've got to make sure that they've got that job, and then they make sure they've got to, even if you don't like that job, and that's you carry on. And although I'd wanted to be a fashion photographer or glamour photographer or something like that backwards, which harked back to the original studio jobs that I'd done as when I was 19 as an assistant photographer. It was it was a career.
I mean, it's kind of like the complete opposite of a glamour
photography. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. But you know what? A lot of people would go through, they'd say, "Oh, what do you do?" And I say, "I'm a crime scene photographer." They go, oh. And then they think about it, and then they get quite interested. And then they always say, "I bet you've seen some sights." It's always the same. But with CSI, it became quite a glamorous job to be in again. So I'd gone from being working, because I started at 19 as an assistant photographer in a studio, which done glamour photography. And then I went on to cruise ships for 3 years. So those both were quite glamorous.
Yeah.
So with the Met Police, it wasn't, and I'd lost that. But about 2 or 3 years later, after CSI, it suddenly got glamorous again.
Yeah, it's suddenly becoming like mysterious.
So I've been lucky.
Job. Yeah, for sure. What was your worst one you had to do as a crime scene?
It was always, and luckily it was very few, but it would be kids.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
I mean, they'd if they just suddenly died from an illness or something.
Yeah.
And there's certain things that I won't even go into, but
sure.
I don't know how graphic I remember one of my first jobs, and unfortunately a baby had been found in the woods. But it had been half eaten by foxes.
Fuck. I mean, that's pretty.
So you go there.
That was one of your first ones.
That was one of the first one. You just see that, and you just see the tail end of the spine coming out. And
Shit.
So you go, oh, okay. But luckily, that was before I'd had any kids or anything like that. But once you'd had kids, oh my God, that became very difficult.
Yeah, of course.
So, I think it was unsaid, unspoken, but they tended for jobs like that to try and get the people who didn't have kids to go and do those.
That makes sense.
But I was pretty switched on about that sort of thing. It wasn't as much as anybody would think. I mean, especially for a city like London. London really, for the kind of city it is, has a low murder rate.
Yeah.
And we had about 30 photographers. So by the time you'd get a job or whatever, it was quite rare.
Although you did get one very famous person, if you want to talk.
Yeah. Which one are you going about?
How many
are we talking now? Are we?
I was in
do you need to sign this document first?
Yeah, I might need to sign a document first, but it was Princess Diana. There's one I was questioning about.
Yeah, that's
unless you've got other ones. How many famous people have you?
No,
photographs.
Well, I've seen pictures of them because so you would see what the other team had photographed, and sometimes certain who was that the politician who was found gagged and bound in his naughty underwear with a satsuma in his mouth?
I don't know the name, but I know who you mean. You saw that photo?
I saw those photos. I saw. Oh, wow. Yeah. Anyway, but with the I can't talk too much about it.
Sure.
But there's already a biography written about it by the pathologist.
Right.
Oh, well, sorry, his autobiography, which is very good actually. So I went into I just went into work as normal.
Yeah.
And I was photographing someone who'd been in a punch up. He had a black eye, and there was some military music on his TV. And I said, "Oh, it's the Queen Mother died." And, no, have you not heard? It's Princess Diana. I was like, I mean, it was a shock, wasn't it? It was a surprise for everybody.
Yeah, it was a big deal.
And then I go into the office, and then my manager said, "Oh, how would you feel about photographing Diana's post-mortem?" And I said, well, Paris is a long way for me to go.
Yeah.
But no, they were bringing her body back
Sure.
to Fulham Mortuary. And I was quite confident. I said, yeah, of course, I'll go and do it.
Sure.
And so, yeah, I went and photographed it. We had to do Dodie first. And then we had Diana there. And I didn't recognise her at first, Diana, because... well, I suppose just because she wasn't alive anymore, and she had that energy that you feel. I mean, I'd never seen her in the flesh before, but she was this huge figure, wasn't she? And that and life essence, I guess, was
of course
there anymore.
Yeah, you're a different person, entity, vessel.
Yeah, and it's without that spark. She had some kind of. Unfortunately, the morticians in Paris had put some kind of mortuary makeup on her and all that sort of stuff, but it was quite. It was surreal.
Yeah, I bet.
And I suppose the weirdest thing is most people you photograph, you've never seen before. You know nothing of them before, and you never see them again. But for the next few weeks, that's all we ever heard of.
Yeah, for sure.
And I went down to. I remember for some reason I went down the mall a couple of days later towards Buckingham Palace, and there's huge crowds there. And I just heard this woman saying to her friend, "Oh, it's all a conspiracy. She's still alive, you know." and I thought, well, I can't say anything, but she's definitely gone.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, and that's where you can really get onto this. People love the idea of conspiracy. People love the idea of something's different.
Sure.
So, yeah,
it's again, just another aspect of like quite a varied path you've had up until this point, and we haven't even got on to like the Bond.
Yeah,
Bond stuff. How did that come about?
Well, after 23 years with the Met Police, and I'd been looking for kind of ways out, maybe different things I could do. That's why the writing started in a way as well.
Sure.
I was suddenly offered early retirement or redundancy. I took it with both hands.
Please.
Yeah, exactly. And my mother had. I didn't know that well, to be honest, but she used to do film extra work.
Okay.
And she used to do work with an agency called Ray Knight for film work and modelling for a group called Ugly.
Right.
So I registered for both of those straight away.
Sure.
Started doing film extra work and then heard about people who were able to stand in. And I started taking some pictures of me. I'd been told by a few people that I looked like the new Bond, which was Daniel Craig from his first film. So I took some pictures of myself as Bond. The advantage of being a photographer, you can do it as well as possible. Get that lighting perfect. And then when I was working on the first series of The Capture as a background, and one of the guys playing one of the SWAT team, he came up and said, "I think you better go for this." And it said, "We're looking for a double for someone for a film called B-25. You can probably guess what it is.
Sure, that's the working title.
Exactly. But so, because they never normally tell you who the actor is.
Yeah.
And it said, but the actor, and it said, you can probably guess who that is. It said, they want someone who's not too chatty. Okay. So that was going to be my first challenge.
Why was that?
He's quite he's quite shy in a way. He comes across as grumpy. Got known as Grumpy DC on set a bit. But he was having to, I suppose, have the role of the whole success of this film rides on him, I guess. And he was one of the producers on it as well. But he just he didn't want someone talking to him like they were his mate.
Yeah, I get that. I
mean, some actors are different. I mean, I was working on Hannah, a Prime TV show after that, Dermot Mulroney. And he was lovely. He'd come down, you'd sit down, you'd have a meal together and all that sort of stuff.
Sure.
But DC, he was very polite. We'd swap places and he said, thank you. I said, thank you. And I'd say, oh, do you want me to know when they've moved the mark and all that sort of thing? But I remember we were trying to go to... we'd got a flight to take us to Inverness. We were filming in Scotland in the Cairngorms, and it was pretending to be Norway for No Time to Die. And I thought, great, we're not actually filming. He's not in character. And we were in the Harrods Departure Lounge at Luton Airport, if you can imagine such a mix. It was lovely. It's like checking into a hotel. You go there with your luggage, just a little counter. They take that for you. It's fine. And he goes straight over to the bar and he's got the coffee and he starts pouring it. I said, something into a drink. I said, oh, what are you putting in there? He went, giggle juice. And just moved off. And I thought, okay, you really don't want to talk.
Yeah.
And you I was just mindful all the time of that thing. Don't be too chatty. So we kept. But I've just been filming. I've just been doubling for him for the last 5 months on the new Narnia film.
Okay.
And I was doubling for him. So as a double, you are treated more like more like the actor as well, actually, especially if you're on what they call the second unit. If the main star isn't there and they're shooting all the behind you, all the little shots for you going past, and so you're in full costume. And he was a lot more relaxed on that one, but maybe because there were children on set as well, and he's got a young child.
Maybe the focus is entirely on him, like it was in a James Bond film.
Exactly, because he was. Although it was one of the main roles. It wasn't just the children are the stars.
Yeah.
But going back to the Bond film, I was always a Bond fan.
Yeah, I think most people are.
It was amazing to be on that and to experience that, but it was very stressful. The assistant director would come up. The director, he escapes now. Cary Fukunaga.
Right.
He wouldn't say a lot, so he'd leave it to John Mallard, the assistant director, who was American, who seemed like easygoing, but then would sort of threaten you quietly on the side and be quite stuck, but give you half an instruction, and then when you screw it up, he's kind of getting a bit upset, and it was like, go, 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 go. There was always a rush to get it all out. And so you're trying to stand on your mark while the cameraman's trying to set up so he knows how much depth of field to put on, what lens to put on. The lighting guy's trying to sort that out. You are in the doorway, but everybody, it's the only doorway to get in and out of that room, and everybody's trying to get past you. And I've got one of the other stand-ins going, stay where you are, because if you go off, it shows you're weak, and then they won't like you because they're going, well, where is he? We need you there. So it's a strange atmosphere.
Yeah, I bet.
And weirdly enough, of course, they finished it and then it got delayed 1.5 years anyway by COVID.
There was, problems. Yeah.
Whereas when I went on, I was filming on Fantastic Beasts. I think it was the third one.
Okay.
And the director, lovely old English boy, he was just like, oh, yes, we'll just move you over there. And it was just very relaxed. And it was, just do a few less takes. Should we just do less takes, and maybe then you've got more time to get it, bit more relaxed. You get what you want. And I think he'd done about 8 of the Harry Potter films and the Fantastic Beasts films. So he knew what he was doing.
Again, different ways of doing it.
Absolutely. Maybe it's the American way versus the British way.
Could well be.
I'd like to think it is.
Yeah. I mean,
but funny enough,
with that.
I was so about a couple of years later, I'm working on Masters of the Air.
Okay, I didn't know that.
TV show.
Okay.
A huge budget. And as I was going on, I'm dressed as a Nazi.
Of course.
They've given me the Nazi haircut, which was quite severe.
Sure.
And I'm almost falling asleep waiting to be used. And suddenly they go, quick, come on. So I get there. They pull me to a train. It's by the Bluebell Railway. And as I get there, I'd heard they were on it, but it was, again, Cary Fukunaga and John Mallard. I probably should mention their names. Anyway, they're there. And I go, oh, John, hi, how are you? And he goes, get in there, get your head against the glass. Hey, take that hat off now. Oh, yeah, that's why we didn't get along. Yeah, it's stressful. But that's just the way the market is.
I guess they find their way of doing it. They find
I mean, again, he's just when he wasn't working, John was lovely. Actually, he was a really nice guy. It's just the stress of it all.
It's a very stressful.
It must be a
scenario.
$1 billion movie, isn't it? Potentially.
Yeah, sure.
Getting it right.
It's, I mean, again, how does all that experience help you from publishing books, getting your book published? Your bio is still quite a new book, and obviously you like to get that out a bit more.
Well, I mean, as I was saying, with the second book was I'd written the Many Lives of Adam Capello, and it was hard to sell as a plot line. It got really good reviews, but it was just that bit different. So more conventional friends said, write something about crime. Got into crime, so I'd write about Jack the Ripper because he's the biggest mystery of them all.
Sure.
And just so they know, it's basically a reinvestigation of there, where a detective has to question his morals as he has to interview the reincarnated victims of Jack the Ripper to try and get more information, because the Ripper is back. So he's trying to find out who the Ripper was in 1888, try and get clues to who he is in the present time.
Yeah.
And that's one of the greatest mysteries, is the fact it's a whodunit, but we all know Jack the Ripper done it, but who was Jack the Ripper?
Yeah.
But now he's got two identities as such, and so it's a race against time to stop him murdering again. So I was able to put that in, and I was hoping the film work would help me sell it. But you've got to be on a set long enough to
yeah, of course.
get to know people. And normally, if you do background work, it's just 2 or 3 days here or there.
Sure.
And then it's getting to know the right people, but you're never really talking to the directors or whatever. But I did adapt Killing Time into a screenplay. And that's interesting. If anyone's ever thought they've loved the book and then it's made into a film, they go, oh, it's so disappointing. Why wasn't that in it? Why wasn't that in it? Well, Killing Time originally was 90,000 words, and I had to cut it down to 21,000 words.
It's a big difference.
Oh, huge. And I've heard before, and they said, oh, well, you have to kill your babies. You have to kill the part that bits in it that you love, but you have to make it fit and work. It's about propelling the narrative. It's not about describing things. It's not so much about feelings even. It's about keeping it going from A to Z. And so there was a character I really liked in the book, and she added lightness. She was quite funny. And because there's a lot of darkness with the Ripper, you can't avoid it. It's
sure. It's not a comedy.
No, and with both my books, actually, with Adam Capello, a lot of his past lives were real people in real places or real times, and so I wanted to make the Ripper as realistic and keep true to history as much as possible as well. So it was trying to keep true to that, but I adapted it. Yes, down to 21,000 words, and yes, I had to get rid of. Unfortunately, yes, I had to get rid of her. But in other ways, it made the narrative flow quite well. So it made me realise the strengths of both mediums, really, and how I might be able to implement that in my next book. But now my next book became a biography of myself, autobiography.
What was it going to be? Like, did you have a premise for what it would have been?
Well, my next book.
Yeah, what became your biography, or do you have another book?
My answer, once I've got an idea and a plot, brilliant. I can go into it. I kind of almost like a dream. It almost writes itself, sort of thing. Was great. The hardest thing for me is thinking of an idea that has legs.
Yeah,
I've got lots of little ideas, and I think, oh, that's fantastic, and then after about a week, I think, maybe not. Yeah, the self-doubt comes in. It's like a dream that you have is really great. And then when you look at all the points, when you go, no, that's dumb.
I mean, do you have any advice for people that have a idea for a book, but they either started it, haven't finished it, or haven't even started yet? Like, what does one need to do to get that?
It's harder now because there's so many distractions, and that's the hardest thing, because, I mean, you're writing on a computer. If you could turn your mobile phone off, I mean, that's hard enough to do for that. and then, but you're still working on a computer, and as you're writing, you need to do, well, I did have to do research to help me. So you start going onto the internet and you think, oh, I'll just check my emails. Oh, a YouTube thing pops up. So it's difficult. But when I really got into it, I suppose there are software packages that help you, where you can build all the characters in it with cards. You can put their structure in it. But I didn't. What I decided to do was just use Word. And for each chapter would be a different Word file. And I would try and write 2,000 words a day for at least 5 days a week. And if I had too many days of not writing it, I was fearful that I'd forget where I am in the story. Like if you're reading a story. So I was trying to keep it with that reading process.
In the flow.
You're in the flow. So that's why I tried it without the aids. I didn't understand half of the software things about it. You spend so much time learning software and having to write down the character plots. So I just started writing. And I say it was the impetus, it was the drive to keep going before I forget where I am in the story. Otherwise, I would have to read it all again and get into it again, like trying to get back into that dream again. But for those, I was lucky because when I was writing Adam Capello, I was doing night shifts with the Met Place. I was in an office all by myself waiting to be called out to a crime, basically. So I had plenty of time to do that. In the middle of the night when there's the fewest distractions. And that was now, 15 years ago. So 14 years ago. So it's only just got worse. When I was writing Killing Time, I'd just been made redundant. For the first day of freedom was the 1st of January 2016, and I wrote the opening few paragraphs just to get into it. And when I do get to, I can't have any music on. I can't have any sounds, TV, nothing. And even if I could just hear something from one of the neighbours, it kind of
that was like, right, I can't do this.
So, but I get lonely by myself as well. But you have to isolate yourself.
I mean, that's the kind of also a cliche, but I guess it's practical that authors, writers want to go away. They go into isolation for however many months or whatever.
And we all work differently. And luckily, at the time, I was dating a girl, and she was very supportive, and it would make me want to finish that chapter, because when I finished it, I would send it to her, and she was, and I respected her judgment. She gave me a bit of feedback on it. And then I would just carry on with the story. But it's only once you get to the end and you kind of reassemble everything. I mean, it takes about 10 months for me to write a book for the first draft. And then it takes another 8 months, 10 months for me to, well, actually I've got quicker at that, but editing it. I mean, Stephen King says he finishes a book or the first draft, he puts it into a drawer and doesn't look at it for 6 weeks. And I can't do that. I'm too impatient. Get on with it. But actually he's right, because you forget the story and you can read it with a fresher mind, and you can be, otherwise you're too close to the source material to know whether it's good or bad.
That makes perfect sense. I mean, if you're creating anything, I think it's the same. If you're writing a song, if you're recording an album, writing a book, making a film, same sort of thing, isn't it? 'Cause you know what you want it to be, and it's in your head. Whether you've translated that onto the page or the record or whatever it is.
I mean, you're perfect sync with my books, as I would be, because I've written it. I mean, the weirdest thing is I've got this thing where I'm trying to read a book. I could be enjoying it as much as you like, but I still fall asleep reading a book. Lovely sunny day, you're just out in the garden. Whereas for my own books, I don't fall asleep. I'm really alert. I'd love to think that's because they're really good, but I think it's just because I know the source material and I'm already there. So,
do you, from your experiences of having the books you've already written, completed, and published, what's your advice for aspiring authors to just get out in the market, to sell the book, to promote their book.
Well, that's the hardest.
Publishing companies, houses, all that sort of stuff.
Well, I mean, I really tried hard to go down to the traditional publishing route.
Does that even still exist in your opinion?
Theoretically, yes, but you really need to have you need to have a big kind of social media profile.
Yeah.
If you're a celebrity, I mean, how many celebrities we read? Oh, I was in COVID, in lockdown. Oh, I had a 6-month break from the theatre. I decided, I'll write a book.
Yeah.
And yes, of course, because anything they write speculatively, they will then have polished and helped, if not even a ghostwriter in there somewhere to help them. But it's really, really hard to do that. So, I mean, at the moment, I'm trying to set up a little local club in the Epsom area to help where people are in the same boat. They've all written something, fiction, a novel, completed it, but they don't know how to get out. They don't have all the tools. They don't know how to use BookBub or Amazon Publishing. So I'm hoping to get maybe a maximum of about 12 people to meet. I've set up a website. It's called fictionfaction.com.
Cool. I will put the link up.
Thank you very much. I'll say that again, fictionfaction.com. And literally that is just on there. I've put in that we're trying to put this group together. But that's just got a list of my books, but it also gives me that chance to put a blog in there, which I've never really had before. So it's an impetus to keep writing anyway, something small. And then when I get more organised, it's giving away those little extras to those readers that like you, where you're giving maybe chapters that never got into certain books.
Yeah.
Those little Easter eggs, if you like, as well, and explanations. I'm there to answer questions. I'm at that sort of kind of level where I can talk
absolutely.
to the readers. But for writers, I ended up registering my own ISBN with my books.
It's not as hard as people think.
No, you go through Nielsen Publishing, you pay. Yeah. It's a little bit pricey for the first kind of ones. And that literally gives you a publishing, you have to think of a name. So I called myself Savon Press, and you are a publisher. Yeah. Which sounds crazy. And that means, because you can publish for nothing on Amazon. That's the easiest way for zero cost, which is great.
Sure. I have my own experience and opinions on that. I with a friend of mine, the one I opened the bookshop with, did publish several children's stories on that. More of a test. This was quite a few years back. But we found it the process of it very tricky. It's not easy at all. It's quite a palaver. Is the formatting of the books, a certain amount of pages you need to have, like the quality of the cover. They're very, very fussy.
It's funny. I found it quite easy.
Maybe
I don't want to be controversial.
Yeah, no.
But maybe, I mean...
Maybe we're just incompetent.
No, the problem is, I guess maybe, luckily being a photographer, I was able to put together a cover myself, make sure that...
I'm sure
it's good. I cannot stress how important it is to have a really good cover.
Yeah.
Literally, people do judge the book by the cover. And that includes getting a spine that looks really good, because people forget, and I'd forgotten, that when it's up on the bookshelves, in the bookshop, that you only see the spine most of the time. Yeah. So make sure that links to the front page as well, so it looks like a bit like it. And it's also the formatting, getting it in there. But they have made it easier.
Okay. Well, I'm going back, a good 7-8 years now.
Yeah. They have made the process easier. Yes, again, getting the formatting for the cover and the blurb on the back, if you can just create it all on a graphics package like Photoshop or something like that, or GIMP or whatever, and then you get the size right, and yes, you do need a little knowledge about resolution and size, but it will help on that.
Sure.
Then I found that a better way than using their quite bland cover art manufacturer on there.
But it's also getting it found once it's
getting
up
it
there.
found. No, it's just spending money. And the problem is, I'm willing to spend some money, but you can spend money on completely the wrong.
We don't know where to spend your money.
No, that's why I want to get the group together. I want people who've been down this path and go, oh, well, actually, you went down there. You can. There are some very clever tools because you can go, well, I'm looking for people who are in the right age bracket between that I think might. Well, first of all, say for Killing Time. Well, no, let's not go Killing Time because actually that'd be expensive because it's crime and there's a lot of people who want crime and it's a wide demographic.
Yeah,
but I went for the Adam Capello, more of a philosophical, metaphysical, but still an adventure story going through. Then I'd go, well, what about reincarnation? So I go for a crowd that wants reincarnation.
Buddhists and Hindus.
I'm going for more of a niche group because it's cheaper to target like that. And they would go, well, we know people who like that sort of thing. And I said, well, maybe it's more women that like that sort of story than men do that. I mean, more women read books now than men anyhow. So that's a good bet, first of all. And then you go, maybe it's a certain, maybe ladies between the ages of 30 and 70 who like that kind of. So you're kind of narrowing down where to spend your money on. And there are tricks for you to get feedback on what you spend your money. They will furnish you with the tools.
Sure.
All I need is the brain that knows how to use those tools and that sort of thing. It would be lovely to have some. If there were classes I could go to, I did go to Nescott in Epsom. I said, you're giving these things on how to make TV shows and you're doing others about drama, but do you do anything on social media and how to use it? And advertising would be such a great course to do to see how to spend my money properly. And get from rather than having to read about it all. So there is BookBub, which I'm exploring at the moment. So I've used them to build my website, and once I've got that to the position I like, then that's when I want to do a little bit of advertising on that. I was a bit hesitant with the biography because I started writing it just for my family first, really.
Sure.
But I could never let it. I had to get it as professional as possible, so I ended up making it as it would be publication ready, and I just thought I'd put it out there. It's you have to say really it's an autobiography of someone that nobody knows. It's there's no social media.
It's still a very interesting story.
Exactly, but it's a good and interesting, and I'm getting really good reviews from it. So it's something I'd like to get out there, but I think maybe on the back of doing maybe the first two books. And the most commercial one really is Killing Time, and I do need to get on with another story.
Sure.
Either within the same world of Awakening, which Killing Time is as well. So it's still even got a little bit of Adam Capello in that as well for those who like the first one. So it's a kind of a trilogy of books, fiction,
that makes
or
sense.
to go with. I did have another idea of using my experience now as doing the double work, and it would be called The Stand-In, and it's the person who's standing in for all these actors. Who don't want you to be too chatty, and you're just dreaming of being. You're a frustrated actor yourself, and he just gets this idea that he wants to kill them. And it's kind of a dark.
Go around systematically.
But if he kills them, then he's suddenly, especially if he's doubling, he's not going to have any work anymore. So it's kind of, will he have all the work to finish it off?
Well, you never know.
Yeah, so I would like to do a dark humour book. So I mean, every book has been more different, I suppose, from the formula that I had on one before.
There's themes. I mean, again, I recommend people read your biography because we've only really sort of touched the surface of some of the interesting things contained in it, and I'm sure there's lots of stuff you've left out of the book. So based on the varied life you have led, and your biography does scratch the surface of that, what would you say, of all the things you've done, you've participated in, you've experienced, what would you say is your proudest moment or greatest moment, and what would you say is your biggest regret?
Well, I mean, I was very proud to. It was very exciting to do the Bond,
I bet,
stand-in work, and I really I was, to be honest, I was put in on the deep end of that.
Sure.
because I happen to look a bit like him, and I managed to make the most out of that.
You have to squeeze it for
Absolutely.
everything you can.
There's so many different versions of. So the Pride was almost like I feel like a bit of a little bit of film stardom as doing that. It's sort of a film like I've reached a certain point, which is great.
Sure.
And then I suppose other things like which didn't get to. I had prostate cancer in 2018, and I got I was very lucky. I got a really good surgeon, but I was just proud that I managed to get through it. I was fit enough to get through that and deal with that. I suppose the corny one is you're always proud of your kids. I'm very proud of my children having a family who are grown up now. So it's those kind of experiences, and I suppose proud of the fact that I don't really think much of time about when I'm proud of. But I suppose, the fact that my daughter will tell me these things, and she says, well, you've come from a children's home and you've built yourself up, and look at you now, you're financially stable. You're in a position where you can do what you want to do. You know, I retired early. I don't have to work. I'm very lucky. I made a bit of money on shares and also a bit of property, and to a position where I'm lucky enough to do what I want to do. I'm no Rockefeller, but I'm not a slave to having to work.
I mean, that's unfortunately beyond so many people's aspirations. So I mean, that is an achievement.
I mean, I'd love to have the kind of money where I could take risks to do big projects like the advertising, like trying to promote the book. So that's something. And biggest regret, sometimes it's leaving the cruise ships. I mean, it was such a big thing. It was such a big part of the world. I regret not buying shares in Apple, Google, Nvidia. All those sort of things. Ones. But that's just monetary. But there's, I suppose, little personal things that you regret. But
what was the best, if you had to select one thing, what was the best thing about the cruise ship period?
I think it's that when you're working on a cruise ship, and especially with the people, I was always quite sociable with them. It was nice to chat to them and get on with them. But it's the fact that I like working abroad. I like the fact that there's not a time limit. It's like being on holiday, but you never know when it's going to end. And that's what I really liked about it. There was a feeling that this could go on forever until you get little doubts in your head.
Sure.
Yeah. So.
And again, any regrets, or are you past regrets? You don't have any?
There's regrets. You know, there's always regrets. There's things I could have played differently, whether it's relationships or the jobs or choices like that. I don't think it's possible to even get to 60 without thinking that, really. I'd love to be one of these, those people that you hate because they've got a smile on their face all the time. They just, what have they got? Some overbalance of happy.
Just mentally deranged or something.
I'd love to be like that. But
I don't know. You come across pretty happy, to be fair.
Well, I'm getting attention, aren't I? Someone wants to hear me talk. I mean,
the lights are on you. Right?
So, I mean, I run a pub quiz now. I love doing that. I'd love seeing in there and see the. It's like it's like being in Cheers, where you walk in and everybody knows your name because you are the quiz master. It's such a little thing.
Sure.
But it's nice. It's just the little things like that, I guess.
It's all about the little things.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to, when I do get into writing a book, and I quite like the editing process, actually, because you're really rewriting, getting it. I mean, I go over it and probably rewrite it about 20 times. But I love honing it. I love getting something and getting lost in a story like that. So I'd like one day I would love to get to be able to pass on the script or a book to someone who's got that kind of influence.
Sure.
And just talk seriously about getting it turned into a project. Because so many, even getting it published, the publishing world, as it seems to be, in my experience, are so down it's being run by people who've got degrees in English who know a certain formula. A formula that is at risk from AI at the moment, because if they're putting it to a formula saying you need to do A to get B, then AI will do A to get B. We need to be inventive. We need people who dare to be different in their storytelling.
It's the same problem in music. It's the same problem in film. It's
absolutely.
Hence why the same thing keeps being replaced and reproduced.
The publishing agents are the gatekeepers, and they're telling you, oh, you can't have third world omnipotent anymore, which was fine for Dune or for something like that, or whatever. If you want to tell a story in that way, you should be allowed to tell a story in that way. But they're telling you no. So that it doesn't even get to the publishers. It doesn't, and finally they'll kill it out. If they say, oh, well, by the end of the third chapter, you've got to know where everybody is going. Those rules are making it a story predictable when you start to read it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's trying to get past the gatekeepers. I think that's frustrating for me, and so I would love to. I keep on. Sometimes if I'm filming and you have to get up really early in the morning, and it might be cold or whatever, but I'm just hoping maybe I'll meet someone who can go. Oh, are you right? Do you? I said, yeah. Okay. Well, let me have a look and just do something. That's always the dream. It's a little bit of hope, out there, and doing something like this, getting being able to be invited to come and talk on a podcast. I really appreciate it.
No, I appreciate you turning up today, Mark. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.